Hi, it's Rachel with Stirring the Deep. So I've been talking about, Christ is the door, right? He's opening up the way for his spirit to come into this earth so that you can open up the door of your soul and be united to him. Okay? And I was talking about the two olive trees and how that's Adam and Eve, because he is the beginning and the end. That means Christ is in us. Remember, Paul says that I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but he lives in me. He's going from the beginning to Adam and Eve, and he's living in them, and he's going to live in everybody. That's his kingdom, is that he reigns from within us, okay? And in Psalm 87, starting in verses 1 through 3, he says his foundation is in the holy mountains of truth. The Lord loves the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Glorious things are spoken of you, O city of God. The gates of Zion, it's those gates. Remember, Zion it's God's people. So now you have, so don't think of in terms of a literal city, because it's about his dwelling place with his people. This is about the spirits of mankind. And so those gates, so what are the gates? And as you saw as I talked about Adam and Eve and how they are the two olive trees standing beside the Lord of all the earth, is Christ in the middle. And you saw that the lampstands, right? The lampstand was in the middle where Christ was in their midst. And so on either side are the two anointed ones, because they are the first to come as they brought death into this world, as they are there. So they were basically the gate. Think of it like they were the gate that brought death into this world. Like they opened it up and let death come in. Okay? And so they kind of birthed death in a way. Now they are the gate that brings life in. They're just the first to be redeemed by Christ's Spirit filling them. That's the oil, that pure truth wisdom. And that's why the Lord loves the gates of Zion more than the dwellings of Jacob, because this is showing the redemption of mankind. And that is a glorious thing to the Father. He has waited for this, because us living in this death, it's pain to his heart. And that is why it's such a delight. And he delights in his saints and those who come to him, because of that joy and that love and that bond of love, because that's why we were created, right? It's a expression of him, but it's abiding in that love and that bond, because that's what love desires, is to love. So that's why he created us, is absolutely beautiful. But that's why, and it's these gates in Zion. Then in Psalm 24, in verse 7 through 10, it says, lift up your heads, O you gates. Isn't it? So now you're kind of putting the two together. Okay, gates have heads? Yes. It's like that is where they have been humbled. Okay, I'm sure Adam and Eve in that experience were very humbled. And now they totally humbled themselves to God's sovereignty, because they've learned. And so it said, lift up your heads, O you gates, and be lifted up, you everlasting doors. The everlasting doors of Christ, always open to let those who want to come into him to come into him, meaning come into Christ. It's like that, is that passageway from death and Hades into the kingdom of heaven has been opened. That's why he has the keys of Hades and death. Who is the King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O you gates. Lift up, you everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. That is that Christ, his Spirit, coming in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. And so again, you're just seeing this picture of these gates here by the doorway. So it's like the beginning of letting that King of glory come in. Where is he coming in? Into this pit to redeem us, to fill and resurrect us. That's how you're resurrected, by his Spirit within you. It's beautiful. And again, those who are taught by God come to God. Okay? And it says that in John 6:45. So how do you come to Christ? How do you go through that door? You're taught by the pure wisdom, the pure consciousness of God, and that will lead you in the paths of righteousness. And in that you become a part of Him. That is the process of Him knitting our hearts to His. He puts His truths on us. So and writes it on our heart. That's the new covenant. So everything that we do, we become a part of His truth. He establishes the truth in us, and He rules by that truth. It is beautiful. And this is an amazing picture of the fullness of how Christ truly is at the beginning. Because He's coming from the very beginning of the source, just like God promised Adam and Eve, your seed. It's like that seed is what will actually redeem you. It is an amazing plan of redemption, and this is just the surface. Until next time, keep stirring the deep. It's the one thing that changes everything else.